Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. Here, as always, I am your meteorologist for the evening, Cloud Hudson, and I will be bringing you all of tonight's top weather stories. Top story tonight is that we do have an official named storm, the first official named storm of our tropical storm season, our hurricane season of 2024. We now are looking at tropical storm Alberto. Alberto is headed straight for the Mexican coast, but it is already causing a great deal of storm surge, onshore flooding, and putting eyes back on Galveston, a place that comes up very often on June 19th. It is also Juneteenth, and Galveston, Texas is the place where that Juneteenth had to spread until June 19th, when they actually figured out, oh shit, I can't, you don't own me. Very interesting synergy of attention with both Juneteenth and Alberto kind of converging our attention on Galveston. Welcome back, Kaylee. Sorry, today was rough. It has definitely been a difficult energy to deal with. I don't know what you're going through, but it seems like a lot of rough stuff to deal with. Especially if you're in South Florida or South Texas, you are probably dealing with storm surge, flooding. If you're in New Mexico, you're probably dealing with not only wildfires, but a flooding on top of the wildfires. There's just so much stuff to get into today. So let me go ahead and, I need to fix this screen real quick before I can share my screen. Oh, feel free to vent in the comments section in the chat if you need to let it out. All right. Let's see. I've already got the storm surge showing here. I'm going to do this way. We got the National Buoy database here. Check this out. Coastal Emergency Risk Assessment tool. You can see that this is just headed due west, headed straight for Tampico in Mexico. But that is the center of the storm. Unfortunately, where the storm happens. The shape of it is that all the wind is blowing straight into the Texas Gulf Coast. Corpus Christi and Galveston and South Padre Island are being hit the hardest. These are just currently showing that we are around 6 to 6.5 feet above the North American vertical datum of 1988, above average, really. But then if we look at inundation depth above ground, we are looking at an even more unfortunate picture. Look, we're already at over 4.5 feet of water above ground level. Corpus Christi, while it does have some barrier island protection, the wind and storm surge is really driven a lot by wind. They're not getting much protection right now. We're already getting close to 4.5 feet above ground, 4.5 feet of water above the ground level, even up into like Port Lavaca and here on the coast near Lake Jackson. This is looking really flooded already. Surfside Beach, Oyster Creek, all of that area. Then as we get into Houston, in Galveston Bay, they are already seeing flooding in the rivers. So like this Buffalo Bayou, the system of rivers that goes throughout Houston from the bay, this is just going to continue to flood as the storm gets closer and closer to land. Let's go ahead and see why that is on our atmosphere. Do I have winds? I don't have a wind product on there. But you can see kind of from the radar imagery, this is where we've got these onshore winds coming and lots of rain banding. We're already under tornado watches and tropical storm warnings associated with this rain banding that's coming on shore. We've also got a tornado warning radar indicated here near Kingsville, Benavides, Hebronville, between all of the, just south of Alice, Texas. You've got a tornado indicated or radar indicated tornado going on right now. There's also, that is in addition to the tropical storm warnings and tornado watches that you're currently under. Now, this is all from the unfortunate placement of the northeastern quadrant of the storm being what is going to hit Texas. Now, it's not like Mexico's getting out easy on this, but unfortunately, Texas is definitely in the strike zone for the hardest storm surge. You can see the direction of the winds by the way that these clouds are propagating. They're headed straight perpendicular into Corpus Christi. This is just a recipe for blowing out all of those riverbanks. So that is a really sad situation to see. Especially because I feel like a lot of people aren't going to take this seriously, considering it's only a tropical storm, or it only got named today. I think people are going to see that and be like, well, I've been through tropical storms before, but this is quite a recipe for a lot of storm surge and flooding. You can see our tidal coefficient isn't even as high as it could be, but it is rising. So as the days go on, as we approach our maximum, well, really, it's the first quarter moon has the maximum tidal coefficient. Third quarter moon is what we're approaching with this. We are unfortunately getting really close to a really high tidal coefficient. That means that our high tides are higher and our low tides don't go out as far. That all is another recipe for, where did I see? Maybe it was here. Yeah, like by, let's see, around dawn, we are going to see our high tide, and that is going to be 14 feet above sea level. We are also experiencing that storm surge that's putting us like around 5 feet above that. So we're getting like 20 feet in this high tide. So this is really apparent on the Now coast. Let's see if this will let me back up a little. Let's watch this come onshore. Maybe it'll let me load this. You can see that banding really just perpendicular to shore. That's the opposite of what you want. You don't want water rushing onshore. This is already, yeah, we're at low tide right now, and it's still pretty significant. Like, let's see, I'm showing this one, right? Let's look at, yeah, okay, so Fox weather correspondents out here in both South Padre Island and Corpus Christi. And you can see that the guy over here on the left in South Padre Island is very much in the middle of the rainstorm. And the guy here in Corpus Christi on the right, he is already, ankle deep in storm surge, well onshore, well on the pier. You can still see cars and stuff going by in the background. So it's not to the point that it's flooding the streets yet, but it is butting right up against those barriers. And this was, I think, at that was at 11 a.m. Eastern time. That was at I was at a relative low tide. So this was filmed at low tide. Imagine this being low tide, and high tide is going to come in the morning. So with that, I mean, I think that means that by morning, we are going to see storm surge reaching these roads on the other side of the barrier. There's not a lot of wiggle room there. And again, this isn't even as close to the storm being on shore as we are going to get. Really, I wouldn't want to be standing there if I was him. That's a dumb place to stand. But I guess that's what you get when you get Fox weather. They're not sending their brightest. Let's see. What else did I want to show? Okay. Let's look at the winds. We can look at the winds through. Let's look at null Earth. Okay, yeah, you can see this. The winds are just going straight onshore. This hurricane, or sorry, it's not a hurricane yet. This tropical storm due to make landfall soon in Mexico, but you can see this big northeastern quadrant where you usually see the worst damage from a tropical storm is funneling all the wind from the Atlantic through the Gulf right to pound South Padre Island and all of this southern Texas coast. Really, it kind of peaks of perpendicularity to the coastline right here. And even places like up near Houston and Galveston, they're not getting out of this easy either. While there is a little bit more of an angle to the shoreline to wind angle, it's not exactly as perpendicular. You're still getting onshore, really strong onshore flow, really zonal wind blowing from the east. So that is a terrible thing to see. Let's look at our significant wave heights. Yeah, they are peaking out here. We've got wave heights at 15 feet. Fishermen are supposed to expect wave heights up to 25 feet. Let's see. Waves, 95 degrees at the interval of a 10-second wave period. And currents are showing, I mean, look at that. Look at the way the waves are. You can really even see the low pressure center in the waves. This is just headed straight onshore. That is not what you want to see. It's not what you want to see. What you want to see is not that. The wind is just clobbering the Texas coastline, and it's not even close to done. We still have quite a bit of ocean for this to go ramp itself up in. before this makes its way onshore. And honestly, the highest significant wave heights aren't even closest to shore yet. We haven't even made landfall of the highest waves from this storm surge. So we are probably by morning going to see how bad this damage really is down in Texas. So I know I skipped over how I usually start this out. Yeah, the energy today, there was a lot of Schumann resonance activation today. A lot of unfortunate solar activity. We are approaching both the full moon and the summer solstice, so there is a lot going on with both of those things. I also was taking a look at the astrology this time last week. It's not a fun astrology to be going through right now. Let's see. I wanted to go to which one of these is going to close out. I think I've already looked at a lot of these, so I'm going to close them out. Let's go to check out our volcanoes today. 34 actively erupting. That is more than yesterday. So who else got counted in here? Here's a great image of Lewitobi. Again, you can see that heavier ash cloud particles raining down. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. You can really clearly see the actual particles all the way up to flight level 140, it looks like. Oh, wait. Lewitobi is going all the way up to flight level 210. Or no, flight level 100. It is erupting at regular, near constant intervals of up to 5 to 8 hours per day. And it remains at the same alert level it's been at since June 13th. Sumeru continues to explode, so does Dukono and Reventador. Let's see what we've got from Reykjanes. We went over this last night a bit, their cooling efforts. We have a new image of Sakurajima. I bet it is. Yes, Sakurajima had a new explosion over flight level 50, extending to the northwest. Then, who else? We have possible low-level eruption in Home Reef, Tonga. And then everybody else that we normally talk about. Pretty interesting that they are trying to use this magma cooling technique. Let's go now to check out our earthquakes. I have not even pre-looked at this. All right, starting off right off the bat, we've got a 3.2 out here in Puerto Rico at 22 kilometers depth, a 3.0 at 4.4 kilometers depth. These are getting deeper and stronger, I would say. Then up here near Galax, North Carolina, or Galax, Virginia, it was Sparta, North Carolina. We had that 2.0 at a surface 2. Then in Oklahoma, we've had more activity recently, as well as a 3.4 out here in West Texas. So far, seeing a few earthquakes here in South Texas. You don't want to see that. I would expect to see more Earth, the balance of the tectonic, very small fraction of what their way, but sometimes it only takes that much of a change to tip the scales, so to speak. There's also a 3.2 out here in the middle of Texas, which is interesting. We have a 2.2 here in northern New Mexico. New Mexico, another place where we are experiencing some severe weather. You know how we talked about the Ruidoso fire yesterday? Well, in the wake of that wildfire, we have seen torrential flooding you actually don't want a lot of rain on a wildfire because, especially if it's already torn through an area and it's not actively burning, there's nothing for you to put out. And also, flooding on top of recently burned structures and recently burned down vegetation is a recipe for mudslides and landslides, which is exactly what's being seen in. Oh, I forgot to change my. I didn't put the right. Sorry, I'm not showing my. There we go. I forgot to show that. Yeah. I didn't even start out with earthquakes, so yeah. The it's really unfortunate what's going on in Ruidoso, New Mexico, because yeah, let me just show you. There is some. We've got some flash flooding in the wake of the fire means mudslides. Oh gosh, we gotta watch a freaking ad. Okay. Skip ad. Okay. Or not. Love it when I push the button and it doesn't even do anything. Yeah, so this is the scene here in Ruidoso, New Mexico. Tons of cars have been stranded on Highway 42 or State Road 42 as recently burned areas. The burn scar has gotten a lot of rain falling on it, all funneling into the center of the canyon. All of that recently burned ash is very light and easily lifted sediment to run out with the rainwater. And this is what's happening. This used to be a road and now it looks like a river delta. This is what happens when you get a ton of rain on top of a previous wildfire. It's really unfortunate. Fucking sucks, I'd say. That is a traffic jam that no one's getting out of. Like literally, you are jammed there, and you can see the actively flowing water. It's not stopping. They are in a. Let's go back to our earthquake update. I should update, but I was just saying. So I can look at California without getting an aneurysm. Lots of threes today. Looks like they are just on the Mexico side of the border at the Baja Peninsula. All these threes. Yeah. Right over the border on the San Andreas Fault is the concentration of ones and zeros. But then as you get into the Baja Peninsula, you're looking at like 3.5, 3.0, 3.4 at like 75 kilometers depth to 30 kilometers depth. And then as we are in California, there's also some twos up here on the coast as we're making our way towards the Bay Area. Then another stack at the geysers as usual. Lots of earthquakes here in Nevada today. Nevada, I think that is right near that Air Force base. Let's see. I'm gonna pull this up. See where, yeah, Goldfield, Nevada. That is right next to Nellis Air Force Base, and that is where we have seen a series of quakes for the past few days, and now they're getting their own stack as if they're the geysers or that West Texas 0 point area, and you see a family of quakes around it. That is really interesting, as well as continued quaking here in Utah and northern Arizona. We've also got, as we get up to the border. It's right next to Mount Shasta, but they're not saying it's Mount Shasta. They're saying it is, what are they calling this? Burney, California, Burney. It's right next to Shasta National Forest. That's where that 1.9 at 13 kilometers depth is. Then actually, I think in your neck of the woods, Kaylee, the 1.6 at 20 kilometers east of Hornbrook, California. That is right near, oh, that's an interesting formation. I wonder what these squares are. Here, I'm going to put this on the screen. This is where that 0.9 NorCal quake was today. Right here. Do you know what's out here near between Iron Creek and Deer Creek? On Bogus Burn Road. Sounds bogus. I don't know what the green, I don't know if this is a national forest or something. There's, for some reason, pockets, different squares of protected land, but some squares are not protected, and this earthquake happened right in one of these that is not protected, right near Copco Lake. If you can tell me anything about that area, I don't know what this crap over here is. Yeah, the other one was down here. So really on either side of Mount Shasta, we had earthquakes today. Pretty close. Pretty close. Looks like a grid. Maybe weed. Bogus road, really? Yeah, sometimes they just come out and say it. Oh, yes, it's either weed or aliens. That makes sense. That sounds like California. That's the logical answer. No, really though, why would they divide it up like all pixelated and stuff? That's very weird. That makes me think it's like some sort of Bureau of Land Management thing where like people technically bought random plots that are inside BLM land and are technically inaccessible without cutting through the federal lands. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's that whole thing where people can own land in the middle of something but not be able to legally access it because all the roads are cut off. Let's see. What else? Let's keep looking at our quakes. Let's go back up. We had 2.7 off the coast of Oregon here. And a 1.3 closer to Vancouver. Let's see, 2.2 here off the coast. Let's see what our highest magnitudes. Oh yeah, we're not really going into the high magnitudes in Alaska today, but they are moderately, they're not exactly surface quakes. Up near the top of the world, we got a 2.0 at 10 kilometers depth. And then surface 2.2 right here in the pocket. We've got, another 4, a 4.4 at 53 kilometers depth here on the Aleutian Island chain. That is at 53 kilometers depth and was surrounded by a lot of little aftershock tremor sized quakes in the wake of what has been moving through the Aleutian Island chain. There's also, looks like some deeper quakes out here in Hawaii. Let's see which ones are these deep quakes. Oh, they're only 30 kilometers depth. They're not that deep. There's lots of shallow ones out here too. So it's a medium activity for Hawaii. We had a 3.8 on the Grill Islands. next to the Kamchatka Peninsula. Not much out of the Philippine plate today for once. For the first time in a few days. This is the first time we haven't seen anything in the Philippines. We did, however, see a 4.7 at 10 kilometers depth, 4.5 at 10 kilometers depth, right on the plate boundary, off of Sumatra, Java, Indonesia. We've got a 4.1 here off the coast of Papua New Guinea, a 5.0 in the Tonga Islands region. Wait, is that's the Vanuatu Islands? Yeah, and that's right off the coast of one of the islands in Vanuatu. And that's at 245 kilometers depth. I think that is the deepest one we've got so far. I did forget to check South America though. 4.4 at 65 and a 4.7 at 52. Pretty quiet. Oh, another one on the Antarctic border. Got a 4.8 at 10 kilometers depth again. Then as we head into Afghanistan, Tajikistan border region, we got a 4.8 at 67, a 4.4 at 10 kilometers depth, a 4.3 at 10 kilometers depth in Western China. Then we are back to Greece. And we did have a South Sandwich Islands quake, which is quite interesting because today one of my lovely viewers did send me quite the interesting video about this land formation right here, about this particular plate and what its shape might signify or represent. I do believe in formative causation, so even if there is not quite literally a snake with its nose sticking out of the water here, it might metaphorically represent a sleeping dragon. A few more quakes populated. No, I guess not. We did have up to a few threes. Oh, and a 4.2 out here in Greece. Let's see, turn off some of these lower ones. Man, they are really cooking out there. Most recent quake was a 2.5 at 5 kilometers depth too. We had a 4.4 at 10 kilometers depth again. Greece is really heating up for earthquakes lately. Really active, really seismically active. Oh wait, did I ever switch this back to Earthquake 3D? No, I didn't. I just did that whole update without showing you guys what the fuck I was talking about. Okay, a lot of threes and higher, including a 4.2 here in Greece. Then, yeah, this South Sandwich Islands region had this 5.7 right at the tip. And this was recently illustrated to me as representing a snake head or an alligator head. I think that's a really interesting interpretation of the geometry here, if you think of this as a snake coiled up. But yeah, we had two on the Antarctic plate today, that 5.7 and the 4.8 right here. Oh, as well as some surface quakes in Australia, a surface 3 and 2 and a surface 2.9. So again, those are middle of the plate quakes, which is quite weird. Okay, now let's go to our atmosphere. The 4 in Jamaica. Let me see. Is that showing up on my feed? That's not showing up on my feed. Maybe the USGS doesn't have it? That doesn't sound right. Let me see. Let me look at latest earthquakes on their website. USGS is not reporting a 4 in Jamaica. Let me see. Let's see. I see a 4.4 magnitude on June 18th. Huh. I wonder why that's not being reported by USGS. Yeah, that's weird. Maybe my feed is... Oh, here it is. Here it is. If I back my feed out just a little bit, we have USGS reporting it as a 4.0, even though the local papers report it as a 4.4. And that technically took place yesterday on the 18th. So that's why it didn't show up in my earthquake roundup today. But yeah, interesting stuff there. Okay, now to the weather update. No, you're right. You're right. I have your house up on screen. I don't know where Mustang Island is. I could look it up. But yeah, it's on screen because Tropical Storm Alberto, this tropical gyre that we've been keeping our eye on lately, has officially been named Alberto. It's our first official named storm of the season. We are experiencing tropical storm warnings and tornado watches in your area. We've also got a mesoscale discussion out. Oh, the mesoscale discussion just expired, but there was a mesoscale discussion out for flash flooding in the area. And you can see a lot of parallel to the ground rotation. Once these rain bands get onshore, they start acting more like a QLCS, quasi-linear convective system, or squall line. But when they are driving themselves onshore, there's not very much drag or interference from the ground. So they can just be a straight shot of continually spawning new storms headed straight for Corpus Christi. Just like right into the Corpus Christi Bay. It's headed, it's like a finger pointing straight for Corpus Christi. However, that is not the rain is not the thing that's driving the high water levels right now. The high water levels are being driven by storm surge, which is that really, really strong onshore wind blowing the tide into onshore more. And it also is, we just got over it being low tide. Like, we're about to go into high tide at like 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. What's already flooding now is at like an intermediate tide. Once we get to high tide, it's going to be like you're gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, what the fuck? Everything's underwater. I expect like 5 inches or 5 feet of beyond what's already on shore right now because of the tide to come in. And we were looking earlier in the broadcast, like right when I started, I did look at some tidal reports, and yeah, you're expected to go from, I think we're at like 9 feet above sea level to 14 feet above sea level just from tide alone. That does not include the storm surge, and the storm surge is well over 5 feet at this point. So we're looking at 20 feet above. Really not a good situation. But in addition to that, that is, I mean, there's a ton of rain that is falling on the aquifers that drain to the coast. So in addition to the rain falling right on top of you and the wind blowing the tide onshore, we're also going to be dealing with this massive swath of rain upland of the coast. So when the rain falls onshore, it has to drain out to the sea through the way that the river and the aquifers work. So we're going to be getting water headed towards the coast on both sides from all of this rain banding. Even when the rain is past you, you're still going to get the backwash of that rain on its way back out to sea again. Even Galveston and Houston are experiencing onshore winds and storm surge at this time. So the tropical storm warning is very warranted down here, but probably watches could be extended throughout the Galveston area as well. I think currently the storm surge is the most perpendicular to the coast down here on the south part of Padre Island. And then when you get up to Padre Island and Corpus Christi, it's a little bit less severe, but these inland bays, inlets, and river deltas are already at 5 feet over their normal stage and are going to continue to rise and just get filled up with water. We're going to have a South Florida situation on our hands here in a minute. Other severe weather we are dealing with is this weird, long, skinny flash flood emergency. It's catastrophic. This is a PDS, a particularly dangerous situation for a flash flood emergency. I don't know if y'all know how rare that is, but we almost never see a PDS issued. Is flooding in the wake. It's downstream of Ruidoso, where we just had this big wildfire. Everywhere that the wildfire burned away the vegetation, all of the rain in this entire basin, catchment area is funneling into this river. So this entire watershed is flooding this this surface river right now. And that is in addition to it just having been burned. That means that a lot of mud and debris and ash and all that crap that just got unsettled from the fire is getting flushed into this river basin. I have a feeling that this, while yesterday Route 70 was the only way out of the town of Ruidoso, today that road is pretty much a river. So really good luck to everyone who is living close to Ruidoso in New Mexico. This is just like a nasty situation. Don't like how that looks. There is also a rainfall warning here on the Ontario side of the Michigan border. Near Detroit, they are looking at some pretty heavy rainfall totals as well. We're also looking at flash flood warnings up in upstate New York, severe thunderstorm warnings near Geneva and Rochester. There's almost nowhere is safe except for, weirdly, the plains today are not getting too bad of thunderstorm. Do you think it affected Alberto? Do I think the earthquake affected Alberto? Not directly, but I do think that they probably both respond to the electromagnetic impulses exchange between the ionosphere and the surface of the Earth. They probably both respond to electrical weather. I'm soaking wet. Not like a Word document, LOL, PDF. No, PDS. PDS, particularly dangerous situation. Yeah, you're soaking wet. You bet your ass. You better have a emergency kit prepared. I hope that you've got a plan for if your house floods, if and when the flood water reaches your house. Oh, there's also a delightful little flood going on in Oklahoma as well. You can't escape it. Highway 54 shut down from massive muddy water flowing above the roads. It's a mess out there. It truly is a mess. This is, I had a feeling this was going to be the year that we started to see the, forgot to mute that. I've had a feeling this was going to be the year that we would start to see climate change, or whatever you think it is, kicking in. And this is indeed the first year that we're really seeing what climate scientists have been warning us about, which is an amplification of all types of weather events. We're really not making this up to get headlines. This is genuinely what's happening. I find it very unfortunate that people didn't believe already have man-made climate change, which those are just different terms for the same thing, in my opinion. Climate change, weather control, how do you think that those are two different concepts? That's it's all the same. It's human behavior affecting the weather. It's semantics and political bullshit to say that they are different things. Anyway, speaking of which, the ice in the Arctic might be turning green soon. We've got a lot of algal blooms heating up, growing on the underside of the Arctic sea ice, because the sea ice is so thin and the snowpack is so low that sunlight is actually penetrating through the sea ice to the bottom layer, so that algae are able to form on the bottom of the ice. So we could soon see green ice in Greenland. The name would no longer be ironic. Greenland will turn green. That's a pretty wild effect, but you see how pretty that is. One thing about the weather changing is it's going to be pretty. There's going to be a lot more beautiful sights that we've never seen in nature before. I mean, it'll be scary, but I mean, you could say that about, the comet that killed the dinosaurs, if that's what happened. I'm sure they were like, well, I might be dying, but that looks pretty cool. It'll look really cool right before we all die. That's my hopeful segment. Anyway, let's see. Did we have any tornadoes reported today? We had one tornado reported in Kansas today. Texas. Oh, yes, we did. We did have a tornado in Texas today, near Rockport and Capano Village and Fulton. Yeah, there was a tornado reported right here. Reports of significant roof damage and several trees down, multiple reports of the public seeing the tornado. So there has already been a tornado associated with this tropical storm Alberto. So there's probably going to be more as we see this come ashore. Let's see. Let's go now to check our Schumann resonances, because there was a huge amount of activity there today, both in the Tomsk station and actually, let me pull up the Heart Math Institute spectrograms. There's also a huge heat wave going on globally. I don't know if y'all have caught on to that. Okay, let's see. So yeah, we can see, look how maxed out South Africa has been. This is incredible data. Really high increases, even California showing increases, which it's been the most stable location out of these 6, especially in Lithuania, Canada, and South Africa are showing the highest response to our current Schumann resonance weather. And that goes along with this big blowout we are observing from Tomsk. You can also see the little parabolic signatures above mode 5 here. And you see mode 4 strengthening. We see a weakening in mode 3 and 4, but still continued increase in sub mode 1 and mode 2, as well as these big power downloads. Let's take a look at the amplitudes. Yeah, again, amplitude for the 18th got all the way up to 63. We got all the way up to 39 for this one power download, and there were an extended rise in the curve means a higher area under the curve overall. So even if it didn't spike as high, there might still have been the same amount of power translated over a long period of time. Let's see what that did to our frequencies. Okay, frequencies did go down, but they have since started to climb back up. They're a little bit above average right now, actually. So frequencies are high and the power is high. Let's take a look at what that means for our solar weather. That's us. I hope you don't get struck by a tornado, Jenny. And if you do, remember that you can do this thing called cloud bursting, and just look it up. Just Google it. You ever seen that video where somebody's like, "Cloud, turn into a square cloud"? You can talk to the clouds and tell them what to do. Just tell the storm to go away. I know that sounds really, really, really crazy, but good luck. I wish we could erase today, one of those days. I'm sorry. It is a really rough day. It's also rough when we are reminded of our national tradition of slavery, and the emancipation from it is a good thing. But as the speaker I saw today reminded us, we should remember that slavery is a victory story, a celebration of triumph, of survival, of culture, of people who were enslaved, finding creative ways to survive oppression. And no matter how much oppression happens, we can all find a way to creatively survive when we band together and find our strength in community. So speaking of Juneteenth, it's the 19th. We saw 8 coronal mass ejections today. That is an increase from yesterday. They're looking pretty decent as well, if I do say so myself. There are some pretty healthy looking flares. Or not flares, coronal mass ejections. Let's look at the flares. Okay, only had one M-class flare today. Not too much to speak of there. We do still have a really high solar wind speed. I think that is due to all these dimming regions facing us. 3713 looks nasty by now. That looks like worse than 3712 almost. But it is still technically a beta gamma formation, but it has 49 sunspots. 3712 has actually shrunk down to 21 sunspots, down from 40 yesterday. And 3716 also growing. Solar protons, fortunately, we're not experiencing a huge solar proton event right now, because that would have just been the icing on the cake of a shitty day. I feel like proton storms really affect me. I don't notice a whole lot of other. I mean, I kind of notice other solar weather, but proton storms, I really notice the effect on my emotional health. Let's take a look at our LASCO imagery, and maybe we can take a look at the solar coronal mass ejections that have launched today. You can see yesterday is when Venus and Mercury line up vertically here. So these are days we've already talked about so far. And then yesterday, right as they lined up there was a coronal mass ejection. And then since then, we've seen these two kind of on the opposite ends flaring off. Let's see our SDO imagery if anybody looked good. Oh, yeah. Oh, look at all that communication with a different region. This is really arcing and sparking. I feel like this wants to build up enough tension to spark. Oh, yeah. I was thinking, I bet these are going to spark together. And look at that. In the last frame, they are connecting. I don't like what that means. If these two areas merge or start arcing together, let's see if we can see any of that in this. If we can, you can really see this region develop in this longer image. See 3712 developing and then talking to each other. They don't talk to each other on that waveband. Let's see about this one. Yeah, there we go. That'll probably show them arcing together. Looks like a Tesla coil. Or spark plug. Yeah, I have a feeling these two are going to start going together. Not just internal communication, but they're going to make contact with each other. Because look, the positive and negative poles are right aligned such that they just have a little bit of ways to go to meet each other. That looks nasty. Let's check out our auroral activity, because I did see some headlines saying possible aurora tonight, but I think those headlines were mistaken. Even though our hemispheric power is up, I don't see very much chance of good aurora spotting today, especially since we are in such a full stage of the moon. Interplanetary magnetic field is north right now, but it's been vacillating. The solar wind is very high. Let's actually take a look at our magnetosphere. See what the solar wind looked like at the magnetosphere today. Maybe. Wait, the tornado came right over you on the beach? Did you see it? Could you reach out and touch it? Tell me more. Did you saw the tornado or got a picture of it? Please send it in. Oh my god, I love these emotes. What? Where did you get these Pac-Man ones? That's so cute. That is absolutely what this looks like. I also think of it as looking like a contact lens on an eyeball. Funny how the sun looks like a chicken egg yolk. Oh, it was scary. I bet. I'm so sorry that you were in that harm's way there. I'm not trying to make light of it or be like, I'm not trying to be one of those weather nerds that doesn't care about your safety or feelings. I'm really sorry that you're in such a dangerous spot right now. I hope that you have the ability to evacuate if you need to. I don't know if you'll need to, but I also hope you have enough non-perishable foods and energy sources to ride out any power failures that might come or flooding of your house that might happen. If you're that far on the coast, do you have to have your house on stilts down there? Hopefully that would help. But possibly it would still flood a house even on stilts, even on 20-foot stilts. Let's see this magnetosphere. Unless it doesn't want to cooperate with me today. I don't think this wants to cooperate today. solar wind speed. Solar wind speed is solidly up. What about our random network variance? Oh, it dipped down, and it was heading down, but it is no longer heading down. Back to average again. Let's see our magnetometer. Magnetometer reading. Schumann resonance's power. Oh yeah, buddy. Look, the station in Saudi Arabia, is that? Yeah. The station in Saudi Arabia has peaked back up to where it was in Schumann resonance power back on June 4th. So that is probably an indication that our global power is really, really high right now. Says that New Zealand is at 0, which I don't buy. I think maybe the station is offline. Also says, oh no, Lithuania is 3. No? Six is South Africa is way down. I don't buy that either. I think they might be maxed out is what's happening. Yeah, man. Just in the past few days, this has really shot up there. Just like the last big storm we had. Planetary weather. Main thing caused water to come way up. Had to drive 2 miles in the ocean. You had to drive 2 miles in the ocean today? It's a miracle we have power. Yes, 10-foot high pylons. What is the eye-looking thing? The eye-looking thing was the magnetosphere imagery, but I couldn't get it to load. Sometimes it just doesn't play nice with me. All right, and we are by sign in a full moon now. The stilts are sketched. The pylons are sketched. Well, I really hope they're not that sketched. They do seem to withstand a lot of hurricanes, so I think that this tropical storm should be fine. As long as you're on pylons, you should be fine. Just maybe hang out keep all your valuables in the second floor. That's also, if there's a tornado headed for you, you don't want to be on the second floor. Go to the lowest floor that's not flooded if you are under a flood warning and a tornado warning at the same time. I know, it's mixed messaging, but sometimes you just gotta do the best you can in both directions when you have to do opposite things at the same time. Okay, so we have the sun at 29 degrees of Gemini square to Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces. That is very ornery oceans, in my opinion. Feels very much like storm surge is appropriate and flooding after a wildfire makes sense. The moon in Sagittarius is currently opposing Jupiter in Gemini, and now the moon would be looking towards Jupiter to ask, how should I act in Sagittarius? Because Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. As the moon makes its way to 29 degrees of Sagittarius, though, it will create a T-square between the moon, Neptune, and the sun. And that is probably going to be the worst day of this tropical storm when we have that official T-square full moon. We've got Mercury and Venus in very watery Cancer, just coming off of their conjunction, feeling hot, feeling loaded. We also have Mars at 8 degrees of Taurus here, about to make a 5 aspect to the moon. quincunx the moon, I think. And we also soon will, well, we just had the moon pass from the last degrees of Scorpio into Sagittarius, where it made a grand sextile with Pluto and Neptune. So we've got the moon really setting off all of these, like kind of activating like a pinball machine, and all of these other planets are the bumpers in the machine that light up. The moon goes around and round and round and lights up the aspects between these planets. The moon is really hammering home that this opposition between the moon and Jupiter right now just feels really tense. It feels really physically demanding, and like you're being pulled in two different directions, and like you're having to say, like, oh, I need to be on the lowest level of the house for a tornado warning, but I need to be on the highest level of the house for a flood warning. What do? You got to find the balance in the middle, and that's really, really annoying. Really hard to do. It is currently a Mercury day. We started this broadcast in a Mercury hour. Wait, did we? Has it already been 48 minutes? Oh my gosh, it's been so long. Please feel free to doze off. I do love it when people fall asleep to this show. They tell me they watch this show as like a nice, soothing bedtime show, and that's exactly what I'm going for. It's a Mercury day and a moon hour right now. Everybody, please pray for or send good vibes to whatever you do, Jenny, and send good vibes to Jenny and all the people in her neighborhood, in that area, because it's going to be a nasty situation. It's not going to be easy to navigate these waters, no pun intended. Yeah, let's see if we can get a vibe check on the day. I'll get one tarot card, please, from everything that is beyond the solar system, everything that's beyond the weather, the scope of the weather that I talked about today, or even below the scope. Okay, and we got the Two of Pentacles in reverse this time. So I'm actually going to pull up the Biddy Tarot interpretation of this. Because I think it's a really good one. Reversed Two of Pentacles means overcommitted, disorganization, and reprioritization. This is the never-ending ebb and flow of balancing things. It's what I was just talking about, being stuck between a rock and a hard place. You've got really clear demands that are both in stark opposition to each other. And you need to make some tough decisions in order to find the balance. And you're maybe never going to be able to find the balance. You're only going to be able to find stability in the ever vacillating ebb and flow of flowing from one priority to the next. This might mean overcommitment, too many entanglements, poor time management, even poor resource management, budget constraints. Really not a fun card. But I mean, just as Kaylee said, it was a hard day, so that makes sense that that's the vibe of today. Let's see if we can get any advice from the liminal space on that. What else goes with the Two of Pentacles in reverse here for the cosmic weather? Be your own daddy is the advice. It's got a sugar packet emptying out money. So I think the implication is be your own sugar daddy. I get this one often. Well, not often, but I've gotten this one quite a few times. What does the booklet say for this? There is a direct link between making magic and taking responsibility. Get a toolbox, figure out your paperwork, and stop giving your power away. Get your shit together. I mean, that is the very essence of the Two of Pentacles in reverse. Get your shit together. Find your ways to balance your income streams. Find a way to manage your material resources safely. I tried to turn the oh yeah, and I did. This is the stone. This is the ocean jasper stone that I use with this one. And I forgot to mention the labradorite here, but yeah, that is who's here today. I tried to turn my lava lamp on today, and the light bulb I just replaced it with burnt out already. So I think it might be slightly the wrong size and maybe putting too much pressure on the envelope of the lamp. I got to troubleshoot that basically, but I do have the salt lamp on. T square is a astrological like right triangle. It's that big red triangle where there are two square aspects to a main planet in the middle, and then those two planets that are squaring that middle planet are in opposition to each other. And that is a pretty challenging configuration, but it's not bad. It's just something it's challenge. Challenge doesn't mean bad. It means that there's going to be more effort needed to sustain a some sort of resistance to this, or you're going to need to use this as stairs. This is an obstacle that may actually help you, but you need to face it for what it is and take it. Yeah, a T-square is like stairs. If you don't think that they're stairs and you walk straight into them, you're going to fall and hurt yourself. But if you climb the stairs, even though it is more physically demanding and kind of harder than just walking on flat ground, you will move on to a next level. But you can't just run at stairs over and over again, expecting them to act like flat ground. That's what a T-square is like. You have to balance these two planets that are in opposition, like in this card, balancing these two elements that seem to be in opposition. And the key is to use the middle planet, the planet at the right angle of the triangle, as the common, the fulcrum of balancing those two planetary energies. So when we have our full moon and the sun and moon are opposite, and Neptune is the fulcrum, we're going to need to go deep within the subconscious realms. Something about the oceans. Look up the significations of Neptune. I'm not like yeah. It's mysterious, is all I gotta say. Yeah, so we got to get our shit together. I think this means make an emergency kit, make a preparedness kit, have fresh water, batteries, or a charged portable charging device, a weather radio, some non-perishable food, change of clothes, and ready to go wherever. Sleep with it right next to you. Maybe even, sleep in socks if you can do that. So you can just throw on your nice shoes and go. But during the storm, you should always have your bag of take care of my own self and my own shit stuff with you at all times. It could be just a little backpack, but you will feel so much better and be so much safer no matter what comes your way if you have just a little bit of preparedness. So also go check in on your neighbors, or especially if they're elderly or have children or pets. See if they need any help in an emergency situation. See if they've got some supplies. And if you have water purification tablets or a life straw or something like that, that's also a good thing to keep in your emergency go bag. Or if you have any water purification or desalination mechanism, because the biggest problem, ironically, in floods is the lack of clean water. You can really easily get dehydrated in a flood. It's so contradictory sounding, but it's true. Okay, well, I think I'll do one more card. I'll get a positive card. We'll try to keep it posy. And here's the stone for this one, is the little selenite. It's it's what I call the fiber optic cable of the crystal world. It really is physically quite reminiscent of a fiber optic cable. It's like if there was one rock that represented fiber optics, this is it. Okay. Let's see. What goes with Be Your Own Daddy and Two of Pentacles reversed? Two of Pentacles reversed even has huge waves and ships going through like stormy waters in the background. It's so clearly what's going on right now. Okay. Oh, and money. Money is a good thing to have in your emergency kit if you have any cash on you. Or something valuable. All right. Okay, it's jumped out. No one else needs to know this. It's an interesting card. It's got falling leaves in front of a person. It is not necessary for even one other person to understand these laws of the universe, for you are the attractor of your experience, just you. So, with that, I think I will sign off because no one else needs to know what I've got to say. Just don't be scared, be prepared. We'll be praying for you, and hopefully you can stay safe. Really hope everyone's okay down there. Thank you again. I do love you very much. Thanks for coming to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. I will see you tomorrow at 11. Hopefully the storm dies down. That's all I can say. I love you very much. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.